Hey guys, and today we are going to be talking about the top 10 teams to rebuild in Madden 22. No, fun. Can you imagine if I talk like that? I've seen a lot of channels that do that, and I mean, even when I get linked TikToks and things like that as well, which my TikTok's linked down in the description. It's not only Madden and NFL stuff, but it is a lot of that, so you might want to check it out. But yeah, top 10 teams to rebuild in Madden 22. Hit the subscribe button if you're new, and you know, you learn something from this video, and maybe you want to see any of the rebuilds on this channel, and you'll get a better idea of what to do for yourself, or you just stopping by, do whatever you want. You know, I'm not going to force you to subscribe. If you're not going to watch the videos, don't bother. But if you think you might like the content, give it a try out. Can always unsubscribe later. And there are a few separate things that make up these 10 teams. So there's the young, fun players that are already in place that you can develop. And there are we don't necessarily have a quarterback yet. You can draft that quarterback. You can sign a quarterback if you want to. And every NFL franchise is built around a quarterback. That's just how it works. The quarterback is always either the start of the puzzle, right? Or the missing piece. It's never really anywhere in the middle. The quarterback makes everything happen. That's just how it is in football. It's the most important position. So let's go ahead and talk about these 10 teams that either maybe have an established QB in place that's super young, and you have to find out whether they're the guy or not, or teams that might have an aging quarterback on the way out, or a really weird QB situation where you're not exactly sure what you want to do there. So again, let's go ahead and talk about these 10 teams. Coming in at the number 10 spot, we have my favorite team, the New York Giants. I know my name is Bengal. Poor choice of name in hindsight, but I was also a lot younger when I chose this name. Kind of a weird situation. Daniel Jones probably isn't going to be your guy going forward, but he could be. He could be. You know, anything could happen, right? Like, the sky could rain cows tomorrow. It could happen, maybe, but it probably isn't going to happen. 72 overall, normal development, but there are some fun pieces in place on this team. You have Saquon Barkley, one of the youngest and most exciting running backs in the game when he's on the field. Kadarius Toney, rookie out of Florida. Super fun player to play with. Great speed, great ability to change direction, make people miss. This is like your running back playing wide receiver in some ways. They just signed Kenny Golladay. So the offense, you have some fun pieces, even though Evan Ingram really couldn't catch chlamydia at a whorehouse. He's actually really good in Madden because he's so fast, and he does actually catch the ball fairly well. Even though he's not the best tight end in real life, he's excellent for exactly what you want in a Madden franchise. And you can still go out and draft a receiver if you want to. You could build up the offensive line, but on defense, that's really where you have a lot of room to play. Because you're in a 3-4, you don't really have too many established edge rushers. Of course, the team drafted Azeez Ojulari in the second round, but you have a stud number 1 CB in James Bradbury, who's fantastic. But there are a lot of missing pieces still on this team where it's certainly not established. You can still go out and draft a new quarterback if you want to. The team is maybe like 6/10 of the way there, like 60%. They're not totally garbage, right? But there still are a lot of positions that you're going to want to upgrade over time. Next up at number 9, we have the Carolina Panthers. And the Panthers, at least as I record this right now, at the very start of the 2021 NFL season, preseason games are just starting. I think they had one of the best draft classes, period, for the 2021 NFL draft. I love getting Tommy Tremble, big athletic tight end that can really be your future of the position for the franchise. You have Terrace Marshall, who also could develop and be really good. You have a couple of really solid receivers. I think DJ Moore is a better player than Robbie Anderson, but Robbie Anderson's rated almost significantly higher. You have another stud running back like you had with the Giants, Christian McCaffrey. But once again, the quarterback situation is far from figured out. I think ideally, since it's a little bit less exciting to draft and sign offensive linemen, you'd have more of a built-up O-line, but this is just like the Giants, is not super established right now. And then on defense, J.C. Horn, super high potential player, really athletic, and he could be your franchise lockdown CB. AJ Boye is going to be replaced. You're going to have to make a decision about Dante Jackson in free agency. but there are definitely some really, really fun players. Jeremy Chin, freak athlete that you could even play at linebacker if you wanted to. The team signed Hassan Reddick, and that's going to be another contract decision if you want to bring him back. He's only on a 1-year deal, I believe. I think it's 1 year, $8 million. Maybe it's 2 years. I wanted to say it was a 1-year deal. Yeah, 1 year. I think it's, even though it's 1.99 in the game, I think it's 1 year, $8 million in real life, and that's kind of weighted differently in Madden. And then, of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about Brian Burns, one of my favorite players in football, realistically. Super big draft crush on him coming out of Florida State, and it turns out I was super right about him. Always love to pat myself on the back there. But Brian Burns just turning into an absolute stud. He really is a freak off the edge. That type of size and speed and ability just shouldn't exist. And Brian Burns exemplifies it so well. Really, really fun player. Derek Brown, you have a big established potential nose tackle if you wanted to move to a 3-4. He's going to be a beast on the inside. Yeturgos Matos. You've got a really fun team. Again, a lot of pieces to work with, but still a lot of pieces left to fill in the puzzle. This team may just be a couple seasons away, but you're going to need to find a quarterback. Coming in at number 8, and again, these rankings don't really matter too much, I decided to go with the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders are a really, really interesting team as well, and they have a more established quarterback, but it's going to be a tougher decision on whether Derek Carr is your franchise quarterback or not. He is an 81 overall. It's not all that amazing, but it really isn't too bad. He's got decent stats in the game, decent attributes. He is 30 years old, only star dev. Is Derek Carr your guy going forward? It's going to be a tough decision. It really is, because you could certainly rock with him and you'd be fine. But are you passing up a higher ceiling player, higher potential player in the future where you're just going to have to make a harder decision in a year or two? So what do you do with Derek Carr? And then you have some players that can just absolutely flat out fly. In Henry Ruggs, one of the fastest players in the game, 98 speed, only one down from Tyreek Hill at 99. John Brown, pretty quick as well at 91 speed. Really, really good player that the Raiders recruited, but how long is he going to be there at 31 years old? Josh Jacobs, really good running back to build around. Hunter Renfrow, he's been in the league probably 10, 15 years, it feels like now, after his 10 to 12 year run at Clemson. It's amazing that someone 50-ish years old is still as productive as he could end up being. Darren Waller, mystery weapon at tight end here, where it's you don't really have to even play him at tight end if you don't want to. You could move him back to receiver. He'd be pretty good there. But the versatility that makes him a versatile weapon, he's no Kyle Pitts, right? But he basically is. You can use him in a number of different ways. I think you could play him in the slot if you wanted to and be really effective in that role. Darren Waller could be a really, really fun player for this franchise. Also, some people tell me I look like Foster Moreau. I guess I could see it sometimes. We are both white. He's got a little bit of a thicker neck. I'll give him that for sure. The offensive line really isn't good at all. Richie Incognito is the best one of this unit, but he is 38 years old. Not going to be your long-term guy there. Colton Miller is turning his career around pretty well. He was kind of looking like a bust for maybe the first year or two, but was really solid last year. And, you'd love to see a player develop like he has. And then defensively, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare scenario. You brought in Yannick Ngakoue. Cleveland Ferrell is actually starting to develop a little bit. Max Crosby's a solid player. And then at corner, it's Casey Hayward is a solid player. Definitely not as good as he once was. Trayvon Mullen is pretty good. I think probably the best corner on this team, even though Casey Hayward is rated significantly higher. I think long-term, Trayvon Mullen's definitely your guy. And then Damon Arnett does have star dev in the game. First-round pick a year ago. Really nothing special there, but he could end up being pretty good for you. And then Trayvon Merrick, rookie safety. He's going to be really, really solid. Jonathan Abram at strong safety is again, your versatile guy that you can move all over the field. He's like your Darren Waller of the defense, where he could play linebacker in some packages. He could play safety. You could play him at slot corner. He certainly, so far, has not been worthy of that 24 for the Raiders, but could be a good player in your Madden franchise, even if he hasn't exactly developed the way you would like him to in real life. The linebackers are a bit hit or miss. Divine Diablo is pretty sick. Again, another like Jonathan Abram type player. And Diablo's bigger. Safety at Virginia Tech, is going to play linebacker for the Raiders, but really, really fun player. If you want to user him, he could be really good. Nick Witkowski, Corey Littleton, Nicholas Morrow, It's like a lot of players on this team, but depending on how you develop them, they could end up being very, very good. But this team is basically, I think if you're going to take the rebuild approach, it's going to be out with the old, in with the new. And you could end up trading a lot of these players for picks and trying to rebuild your team that way. But this team, I think I wanted to throw in one like this where it's like they're so in between competing and rebuilding. And that's what this Raiders team is in Madden 22 for sure. Like, they're definitely pretty good now for Madden, but how good are they going to be in 2 years? And you, again, are going to have to make some tough decisions. I debated putting Washington football team in this video somewhere, but I think what it comes down to for them is you just have to find a quarterback, and that's kind of it. The team is really well built otherwise. The offensive line could use some help as well. But this one is going to be the Atlanta Falcons, a team that's in a really, really interesting spot. You have the versatile weapon. Merch link in the description, by the way. Kyle Pitts. And again, for the same reasons that you'd like a Darren Waller, you would like Kyle Pitts. A really, really, really high potential player that could be the backbone of your offense. Calvin Ridley's really, really good. Gotta love Calvin Ridley. No Julio, but you do get a decent pick back in return that you could use to take, you know, maybe your next Julio Jones. Not that you're going to be able to find that in the second round, but Julio is a big, big replacement type player. Like, or you're going to have to, he has big shoes to fill is basically what I'm trying to say there, and not well. The offensive line has potential. Matt Hennessy is star dev. Chris Lindstrom is star dev. Caleb McGarry is not the absolute worst in the game. Do probably have to find a left guard. And then Jake Matthews, again, is one of those players that's just kind of on an in-between where he's not bad, but he is being paid a lot of money. So is he worth it to you? He might be. He might be. But it's a lot of money for Jake Matthews, who's a slightly above average tackle. But left tackles are hard to find. And then Matt Ryan, Matty Ice, 36-year-old quarterback, is going to regress heavily. Do you trade him now and get picks to draft his successor? Or do you rock with him and try to win a Super Bowl? And the offense, I think, is good enough to get it done. The defense, on the other hand, is really not. You do have a fun user in Deion Jones, if you're going to be playing the games. You have a studding Grady Jarrett. Marlon Davidson, I actually like quite a bit. Nice to see him with star dev. AJ Terrell was actually pretty solid for a rookie. But there are a lot of upgradable players on this team. It's pretty much all of the normal dev players for the most part. I don't really love any of them. Dante Fowler Jr. is being paid quite a bit to be as good as he is, which isn't very, honestly. So do you just ride out his contract? You're pretty much stuck in that position. Honestly, I don't think you're going to be able to trade him for too much. And then, like, Deron Harmon needs to be upgraded. I wish Richie Grant got star dev because I really liked him at UCF. I thought he was right up there for about best safety in the class, but Trayvon Merritt gets star better dev and he doesn't. Sad stuff for Richie Grant. You definitely want to play him over Eric Harris, Isaiah Oliver, Fabian Moreau, Kendall Sheffield. You got some good speed in the secondary for sure, but no one like too amazing. The defense needs a lot of work. You do have some great linebackers up the middle in Deion Jones and Foyesade Oluokun, but I guess you'd probably want to play Michael Walker. You probably want to play him at outside linebacker. Like, you can't convince me for 1 second that Brandon Copeland is a better option at outside linebacker. You just can't. You just can't. Next up is a team I absolutely had to include on the list, and that's the New Orleans Saints. And you got to be like, why would you choose the Saints? They have so many amazing players here. But with the contract situations of all these players, it's not going to be quite as easy as you might think. And yeah, maybe the first season or two, you're going to be rolling. And then you realize you don't have any money. And you're still in one of those situations right now, to be honest. You have no money with this team. You have no money. And you don't really have your quarterback either. It's not Jameis Winston, probably. Even though I actually believe in Jameis Winston a little bit more than the game does. A little bit more than a lot of people do. Taysom Hill is not a quarterback. Let's just be real about that. Alvin Kamara is awesome. Michael Thomas is really good. But you don't really have too many weapons. I do like Adam Troutman. He was my tight end 1 in his draft class. I liked Adam Troutman a lot coming out of Dayton. Really, really good player. It's going to be interesting to see how he develops. Hopefully, develops well, so I look smart. But, you don't really have too much in the way of receiving weapons outside of Michael Thomas. Like Traquan Smith, Chris Hogan, Deontay Harris is a returner, really. He's not really a receiver. And, I mean, you might make an assumption that he's a receiver based off of seeing his development and overall, but he's a return man. He really is not going to bring you too much as a true receiver, and you got to find that quarterback. But on defense, it's a lot of aging talent. I think Marcus Williams is playing on the franchise tag this year. Demario Davis is a stud, don't get me wrong, but he's also 32. He's old. Cameron Jordan, still a stud, but he's also 32. And with regression and with his contract, how long are you going to be able to keep these guys? Like, not super long. You need help in the secondary because you might not be able to keep Marcus Williams or Marshawn Lattimore long term. And Brian Poole's a slot corner, and you don't really have much after that. Don't really have great outside linebackers. Pete Warner might be your guy long term, might be. But these guys are going to regress. Maybe not Zach Bond. Zach Bond's not going to regress because he's only like 24, 25, 24. But like Demario Davis is going to regress. Quan Alexander's going to regress. Cameron Jordan's going to regress. And then you're going to lose a lot of these players to free agency. And I get this team looks way too good to be on a rebuild list, but long term, the Saints are tough. If you look at their actual team salaries here and you see the rankings of the top players, Teron Armstead, he's a 95 overall, superstar dev left tackle, stud. You can't keep him. You just can't. You cannot keep Teron Armstead. You know how I know? Because you don't have nearly the amount of cap space necessary in order to re-sign Teron Armstead. I don't think it's possible. What is their actual salary cap? 60 mil? I guess that's Drew Brees off the books. Maybe you could re-sign Teron Armstead. It probably wouldn't be a great decision, honestly. And then Cam Jordan, 3 years, but you're going to face regression. Same thing with Demario Davis. 1 year left for Marshawn Lattimore. 2 years for Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. 1 for Marcus Williams, of course, playing on the franchise tag. Eric McCoy is on his rookie deal. Malcolm Jenkins is being paid way too much. Brian Poole, 1 year deal. Onyemata, 2 years. Latavius Murray, 2 years. Marcus Davenport, 2 years. Quan Alexander, 1 left. Like, it's a lot of 1 or 2 year deals. You're going to be forced to make decisions. Trust me. Do not look at this team and think it's going to be a walk in the park. The first year, maybe, but the tough decisions are really going to start showing themselves after about 2 years. It's going to be tough to keep this team good. In my opinion, this is probably one of the easier teams on the list because they do have a lot of fun, good pieces in place. You have a great running back duo in James Robinson and Travis Etienne. Of course, the main reason to rebuild the Jaguars is Trevor Lawrence. Let's be real about it. Like, this is your franchise guy. He will develop. He will be good. There's pretty much no way around that. I don't even know what his development trait is. It's probably superstar. I kind of doubt they give him superstar X Factor. It's probably superstar, which is still great. Don't get me wrong. It is superstar. But the whole reason you rebuild the Jaguars is to play with Trevor Lawrence. Marvin Jones, good weapon. Laviska Shenault, great potential long term. DJ Chark, same thing with Laviska Shenault, really. The offensive line, pretty good. Not amazing, but pretty good. Don't have a tight end, but you do have arguably the greatest college football quarterback of all time in Tim Tebow. He's way too good in this game. Way too good. I'm going to be real. Way too good. He's not a 66 overall. And then on defense, a lot of it is about developing some of these guys, but you do have some really fun players to play with. Miles Jack as your user. Kaylavon Chason, first-round pick, could end up developing. Josh Allen, really, really solid. Devon Hamilton, solid nose tackle. But you're probably going to want to upgrade Roy Robertson Harris and Malcolm Brown and not keep Taven Bryan. Even though I do like Roy Robertson Harris, it's going to be interesting to see how the Jaguars use him. You got Shaq Griffin. Sidney Jones is out here. Sidney Jones is actually pretty nice. CJ Henderson is also probably your franchise corner. Just probably is. I know the Jags may be trying to trade him in real life. For your Jags rebuild, you want to keep CJ Henderson. Great speed, really good coverage, really young, good dev trait. CJ Henderson's a beast. But you're probably going to upgrade the safeties, probably going to want to upgrade them, and maybe even develop Andre Sisco. I believe he was taken at the top of the 3rd round out of Syracuse. Really good athlete, really good potential with him. But there's a lot of developing to do with this team. They're not ready to go right now. But building around Trevor Lawrence with the rest of these guys, they could be very good. In the 4th spot, we have the Chicago Bears. And once again, just like with the Jaguars, this is why you're playing with the Bears. To play with their rookie quarterback. Justin Fields will be so fun in the game, it's ridiculous. Between his speed and his cannon of an arm, Fields will be the Madden franchise QB. He's going to be so fun. David Montgomery, solid back. Keeping Allen Robinson won't be too easy. That's going to be expensive, but he's really good. And then, of course, money with 2 O's, Darnell Mooney, trending towards being the best receiver in the NFL. No exaggeration. Darnell Mooney is so fun and should be really good with Justin Fields long term. That's your combo. That should be awesome. The offensive line isn't terrible. Tevin Jenkins is good. Cody Whitehair is good. James Daniels is good. Sam Mustipher is really not too bad, actually, and could get some upgrades over the year. And then you need to upgrade right tackle. Cole Kmet's your guy at tight end. You're going to play him over Jimmy Graham. And then defensively, they kind of went into rebuild mode a little bit. Again, really solid user in Roquan Smith. Crazy good athlete. Crazy fun to play with. But outside of that, there isn't a ton. You do have Khalil Mack. Where's Khalil Mack, please? Where's Khalil Mack? This is definitely the franchise where I was showing how to trade for anybody and traded for Khalil Mack. So Khalil Mack's usually here. That makes it better. Eddie Jackson is a beast too. But Akeem Hicks is old. 31 years old. Going to regress. Jalen Johnson is a beast. Super young. Really good rookie year. Jalen Johnson's pretty awesome. But you got to replace a lot of these guys. Bilal Nichols might not be able to hold on to him. Eddie Goldman, same deal. And some old, aging players that got to get out of here. Robert Quinn, Danny Trevathan. So it's not the hardest rebuild in the world, but this is to play with Justin Fields and Darnell Mooney and some of these other studs like Roquan Smith on defense. The Jets offer you an interesting challenge because their offense is really trending in a great direction. You're playing with Zach Wilson again. That's part of the reason, the biggest reason why you choose the Jets. Again, another super fun player to play with. Not quite as fast as Justin Fields, but still pretty good wheels and a great arm as well. Elijah Moore should be a ton of fun to play with. He should be awesome, great speed. Basically has running back ability as a receiver, similarly to Kadarius Toney. Signed Corey Davis. The offensive line is really building itself. This is not in too bad of a shape. Want to get a tight end in there and a running back. That could be fun to draft. And then the defense is pretty bad. Marcus May, I think, is playing on the franchise tag. CJ Mosley is not going to be your guy long term. He's just too old at this point. I know 29, that's crazy that it's too old, but it is. He's going to start regressing with only star dev. Quinnen Williams, stud. Carl Lawson, stud. Should be a higher overall than an 83, honestly, with how good he was last year. Carl Lawson was unreal. John Franklin Myers isn't too bad. Sheldon Rankin, they brought in as well. Love him. But the linebackers, you're going to have some tough decisions. Do you want to develop Blake Cashman? Could end up paying off a lot, but he only has about 3 or 4 years of developing max with normal dev. You're going to need to upgrade that somehow. But LaMarcus Joyner is not going to be your guy long term. Maybe Ashton Davis will be. You need corners. If this is a team to draft corners. If you like to draft corners, rebuild the Jets. I don't think these next two teams are going to be much of a surprise, honestly. And if you're watching my main franchise series on the channel this year, where I play every single game and go through every single week with you guys, watch the Lions franchise on my channel, because I am going to be rebuilding this team. And even though I'm rebuilding every team, and most of those are one-off videos, the Lions I'm actually doing in a long series. So I know a lot of you guys love those long series, so this might be for you. But the offensive line is coming together. It really isn't too bad. You do have an awesome tight end in TJ Hawkinson, and then probably your franchise running back in DeAndre Swift, but maybe not. And you need to draft receivers or sign receivers, and probably need to draft or sign a quarterback. The goofball, not going to be your answer long term. And then defensively, you're probably going to want to upgrade on like almost everybody. I do like Tracy Walker. I do like Amani Oruwariye and Jeff Okudah. And you can develop Levi Onwuzurike and Ali McNeil. And Deshaun Hand, I'm shocked he's 75 overall. I feel like he's better than this. But like Trey Flowers is only an 81. Might be slightly higher at right end in a 4-3. He's just more of that type of a player. But based on being 28, playing on a huge deal, only star dev, probably not going to be your guy long term. Romeo Okwara is pretty good. Will give you a slightly better long-term potential than Trey Flowers, but you want to get inside linebackers. You want a different safety than Dean Marlowe, and probably Will Harris as well. And you want corners. You want corners. Like Oruwariye and Jeff Okudah could cut it long-term, but they're not that good right now. So again, it's just like, what do you want? This is a long-term project. The Lions are a long-term project. And probably not a surprise to anyone. Coming in at number 1, the Houston Texans. You got your franchise left tackle, Laramie Tunsil. Brandon Cooks puts you in kind of a weird spot because he's 27. Again, going to start regressing in a year or two. So is he your guy? You're going to need a different running back probably. And Deshaun Watson. Do you want to trade him? Like, is being heavily rumored in real life, and he's probably not going to play for the Texans again in real life. But you could play with him, and he'd be a lot of fun to play with in franchise. And that's probably exactly what he told all those massage therapists, that he's a lot of fun to play with. And he made them play with them. He made them do a Texans rebuild. There's a lot on the offensive line to upgrade. You're going to want to get new receivers as well. And then defensively, there's just not really a ton here. The secondary is okay. Desmond King's on a 1-year deal. Justin Reed's pretty good. Bradley Roby's pretty good, but is not the youngest player in the world, 29 years old. It's going to regress. If you want the longest term project where you're going to have infinite money and you could get a ton of picks from Deshaun Watson and some of the other players, the Texans is your just do whatever type rebuild. So those are 10 teams I think are really, really good options for rebuilds in Madden 22. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. There are a bunch of other teams that could have made the list for sure, but I think these are a pretty good 10. Let me know who I missed out on in the comment section below. And make sure to tweet me with what rebuild I should do next. Twitter.com/BengalYouTube. All of my links are in the description. Check them out. I'll see you in the next one. Subscribe if you're not subscribed already to watch some of these videos that are coming out in the near future. And I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.
Insane, I hit it at the park, bend bones. See me high step to the end zone. My life like a game, Nintendo. Playing with the best, let them know. Get off the track, the train's coming through. Yeah, promise you get in my way, then you best believe I'ma just run over you. Yeah, yeah. Papa turn, taking it back to the house. Defensive joke, I'm laughing so loud. Speedbird's good.